Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through some player props I like on Prizepicks for today's NBA slate on Friday, May the 9th. We got two games on Friday night. We got Game 3 of Pacers and Cavs. That series going back to Indiana. Pacers are up 2-0. Nobody really expected that. Obviously, Cleveland's been dealing with a lot of injuries. They had last game losing on a buzzer beater to Tyrese Halliburton. Cleveland, they're in a tough spot here. We'll see if they're guys that are injured right now. Mobley, Garland, DeAndre Hunter. We'll see if those guys play today. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, we got Game 3 of Pacers Cavs, and then we got Game 3 of Nuggets and Thunder. So got some Game 3s on Friday night. We're gonna talk through some player props, guys, that I do like for these two games. And as always, before we do talk through these plays, appreciate it if you guys would hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to the channel and if you are new to Prizepicks, if you don't have a Prizepicks account, be sure to go sign up. Use that promo code Noah, and when you do sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code and place your first $5 lineup, you're gonna get $50 in promo funds instantly added to your account. So easy way to get your bankroll started to built up on Prizepicks. Use those promo funds, hopefully win some money off the money they give you, and then you can start to build up that bankroll on Prizepicks. Again, make sure to sign up with code Noah if you have not yet. And then I do also want to shout out Sleeper because we do have a partnership with Sleeper as well. You guys can go sign up for Sleeper. Use promo code Noah over there. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. Whatever you put in on your first deposit, Sleeper will match that up to $100 when you sign up with code Noah. And if you guys don't know what Sleeper is, they're a DFS pick'em app. They're very similar to Prizepicks, where you're just building out your lineups. You're picking more or less on player projections. One benefit, one thing that Sleeper I do like about Sleeper is they do a lot of discounts and promotions throughout the week. Obviously, a lot of these sites they're doing discounts on player props, and maybe they'll have like special bonuses that they do, whatever it may be. Sleeper pretty much has discounts every single day. Discounts on player props. They also do like payout boosts. So certain props they'll give you a higher payout for taking those props. They'll do protected plays. So there's a lot of promotions that Sleeper does throughout the week. That's one benefit to playing over there. I think that's one of the better things about their app is just all the promotions that they do. And if you guys want to take advantage of all those promotions, sign up, and again use that promo code Noah when you do sign up for Sleeper. But we got two props, guys, to talk about for Friday. We're going to talk about a prop from each game. So we'll go over a prop in the Cavs and Pacers game, and then we'll talk about a prop from Nuggets and Thunder. But before we do talk through these two plays, I do want to recap our plays from Thursday's video before we go over today's plays. So we gave out two picks Thursday. We went 1-1 once again. It feels like we've been going 1-1 on our two plays for like a week straight now. But we went 1-1 on our two plays. We hit on Buddy Hield under 20.5 points plus rebounds. Warriors, offensively kind of struggled in that game, got blown out. Hield wasn't terrible, but he went under his PR line. I think he finished with like 15 points and 3 rebounds, I believe. Went under his PR, so that hit. Unfortunately, we paired it with Anthony Edwards over field goals made, 9 field goals made. And Ant, wasn't bad in that game on Thursday night, but he got off to a really slow start. Only had, I think, 2 field goals made in the first half. Injured his ankle in the first half as well, which caused him to miss some minutes. Like, I think he subbed out with like 6 minutes left in the first half. Didn't come back until the start of the second half. And then in the second half, Edwards, he didn't really look like he was 100%. I mean, he wasn't super aggressive. He was kind of just standing around on offense. And, honestly, when I saw him go down, I was kind of hoping that he would just sit out the second half and we would just get a reboot because I was worried that he would come back and like he wouldn't be as effective, and that's kind of what happened. I mean, he wasn't as effective in the second half. He did still have, I think, like 6 field goals made for the game, but I was watching a lot of possessions in the second half. He was just kind of standing around. Maybe, obviously that ankle probably was bothering him, but he tried to push through it. But yeah, we'll take the loss on that prop on Edwards, unfortunately. Went 1-1 on our two plays Thursday. Let's see if we can go 2-0 on these two plays for Friday. So the first prop that I like for Friday in the Pacers and Cavs game is going to be a prop on Ty Jerome. And we're going to take Ty Jerome for more than 21.5 PRA. So Ty Jerome had just one of the worst games I think you could possibly play last game. So he did start last game. Typically, Ty Jerome comes off the bench, but he did start last game because they were without Darius Garland, they were without Evan Mobley, and they were without DeAndre Hunter. Obviously, DeAndre Hunter comes off the bench, but Garland is a starter. Mobley is a starter. Typically, we were seeing Sam Merrill start in place of Darius Garland, but they did opt to go with Ty Jerome last game, and they started Dean Wade as well in the starting lineup. So basically, they started Jerome in place of Garland, and then they started Dean Wade in place of Evan Mobley. We don't know yet. These guys that were all out, Mobley, Garland, DeAndre Hunter. We don't know if these guys are going to play for this game. Just reading like reports and stuff, I mean, it didn't seem like Evan Mobley really had a chance to play, on Wednesday or what was it, Tuesday? The coach was saying that they were like doubtful to play Tuesday. I don't even know if they warmed up, like if they were even able to warm up. So I kind of think there's a pretty good chance that Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter are all out again. Obviously, the books are not setting the lines that way because Ty Jerome. I think his PRA line last game, after it was announced that Mobley and Garland and Hunter were all out, and once it was announced that Ty Jerome was starting, I want to say his PRA line was at like 30.5 or something. His line skyrocketed last game after it was announced he was starting, and then go figure, he has his worst game pretty much all postseason. But I think this is a good bounce back spot for Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome has been really good in the playoffs. He's had 2 down games, but other than that, he's been really good. I mean, he had that one game against Miami where he played 23 minutes and only had 6 points and 3 rebounds, no assists, shot 2 for 8 and 1 for 4 in that game. And then obviously last game against the Pacers was just terrible. Played 28 minutes, had 7 PRA, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 1 for 14 and 0 for 4 from 3. But like Jerome has been a really efficient scorer pretty much this season and in the playoffs. He's been very efficient, very effective. So I feel like last game was just kind of an outlier for Jerome. I mean, he had a bad game against Miami, and then he bounced back the game after that. This feels like a good spot for Jerome to bounce back here. And I think the role for him is still going to be really good. Even though he really struggled last game, he's still probably going to play a lot of minutes, whether he's starting or coming off the bench. And even if Darius Garland plays, even if Evan Mobley plays, who's to say those guys are 100%? Like, those guys probably aren't 100%, even if they're playing today. They probably won't be as effective as they normally would be. So I'm expecting a pretty good role for Ty Jerome here. I mean, he's been one of their better players in the playoffs last season. We don't want to, just completely shut him out after just one bad game. I mean, he's been really good this postseason, been really efficient, and effective for them. He's basically been their kind of second scoring option behind, Donovan Mitchell. And obviously Donovan Mitchell's carrying a super heavy workload right now. But Ty Jerome's one of those guys that can come off the bench, that can create his own shot, that can run the offense. And again, he's a guy that has shown an ability to be productive when he does get minutes over this PRA line in 5 of their 7 playoff games so far. 4 of their 6 playoff games so far. And then if you actually look at his games without Darius Garland during the regular season, if it does so happen that Garland misses again, without Darius Garland in the regular season, Ty Jerome did go over this PRA line in 5 out of 6 games. The one game he went under, he had 21, so he went under by the hook. But 33 PRA, 30, 35, 24, 21, 32 was really, really good in his games without Garland during the regular season. Garland may come back today. If he does, I don't know if he'll be, quite effective as he normally is. I don't know if he'll play full minutes. That's another thing. Like, even if Garland and Mobley, if these guys come back from injury today, they might be on a minutes limit. We saw Kristaps Porzingis come back from his illness, and he was, super limited. So I like this spot for Ty Jerome. Like him to bounce back here, and I think the role can only grow for Jerome if we do if it does so happen to be that Mitchell or Mobley, Garland, Hunter, if those guys are all out again, I mean, the role is only going to grow for Ty Jerome. So give me Ty Jerome, more than 21.5 PRA is our first prop for today. And then the other prop that I like in the Thunder and Nuggets game is going to be a fantasy score prop. We're going to take Chet Holmgren for more than 35.5 fantasy score. So Chet Holmgren's been pretty good in this series so far. He is over this fantasy score line in both games. Had 36.4 fantasy score in game 1, and then last game had 43.2 fantasy score. We haven't even seen Chet Holmgren play full minutes yet in this series because in game 1 he was limited by foul trouble. Did pick up, I want to say he picked up his 4th foul in the third quarter, which did cause him to get subbed out, but I'm going to take a look at that just to confirm. So looks like Holmgren in the first quarter He only had one foul in the first quarter, but then he did pick up his third foul with about 2.5 minutes left in the second quarter. So he missed about 2.5 minutes because he picked up his third foul in the second quarter. And then in the third quarter, he picked up his fourth foul, but he stayed in the game. And then he did pick up his fifth foul with 5 minutes left in the fourth. So he got subbed out and then subbed back in with about 2.5 minutes left. So Holmgren lost about 5 to 6 minutes of playing time because of foul trouble in game one. And then obviously last game was just a huge blowout. He didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. And in that game, I think he only played how many minutes did he play? I think it was under 30 minutes again. Yeah, 26 minutes last game, 28 minutes in game one. So we haven't even seen Chet Holmgren play more than 30 minutes yet in this series, and he's still been really productive going over this fantasy score line in both games. Holmgren so far in the playoffs, he's only played more than 30 minutes, I think once in the playoffs, or twice. He's played over 30 minutes twice in the playoffs so far in those two games. 47.2 fantasy score, 32.6. Holmgren has been really productive when he's gotten minutes. He's one of these guys that can do everything. He can score, he can rebound. He's really good at getting defensive stats. He can block shots, he can get steals. If you're new to Prizepicks, if you're new to Fantasy Score is a scoring system that gives you points for pretty much everything. Scoring, rebounding, assisting, defensive stats. You get points for everything. You can see how fantasy points are calculated right here. You get 3 points for blocks and steals, and getting a guy like Chet Holmgren who can get you 4 or 5 blocks any night, that's huge for Fantasy Score because those points really add up. I mean, last game Holmgren had 2 steals, 2 blocks. In game 1 of the series, he had 4 blocks, 1 steal. He can rack up those steals and blocks, which really add up from a fantasy perspective. Holmgren's been a very productive guy when he's been on the floor. This season, averaged 1.37 averaged 1.26 fantasy points per minute, and then in the playoffs so far, he's averaged 1.37 fantasy points per minute. So he's just been really productive when he's gotten minutes. And I would think if this game's competitive, which going back to Denver, you would think it's more likely this game is competitive. If this game's competitive, Chet Holmgren's probably playing around 32 to 34 minutes. If you're going to give me 32 to 34 minutes from Chet, I feel pretty good about him going over 35.5 fantasy score most games, most nights. And I think the matchup's pretty good for Chet as well. They're probably going to put Michael Porter Jr. on Chet. I think Michael Porter Jr. has been the guy that's been guarding him in this series. And that's definitely a good matchup for Chet. It's one that he should be able to take advantage of. Porter Jr., taller guy, but when it comes to Chet, Chet's just so tall. He's kind of a mismatch for a lot of guys because of his height. I think the matchup definitely sets up pretty well here for Chet. Just gotta hope they avoid foul trouble, which I think obviously more times than not he does. They've been letting Hartenstein guard Jokic, so I think as long as Chet doesn't have to guard Jokic for a ton of minutes, which typically he doesn't, he should be able to avoid fouls. Just like the lines, this line here on Chet looks a little bit low if we assume he's playing like 30 plus minutes. For what it's worth, in the regular season, when he played at least 28 minutes, he went over this line in 12 out of 16 games. So like, what in terms of percentage, that's like close to 80% or around 80%, I believe, of his games during the regular season where he played at least 28 minutes. He went over this fantasy score line. So just think this line's a little bit too low on Chet here. I would probably take this up to like 37.5. I think that's probably where the line should be. But that's what we're going to roll with, guys, as our 2 props for this slate on Friday. We got 2 games Friday night, and I've got 2 plays I like. Ty Jerome, we're going to take for more than 21.5 PRA. And Chet Holmgren, we're going to take for more than 35.5 fantasy score. So if you guys are telling me on these 2 plays, let's see if we can go 2-0 here, hit both these plays for this Friday night slate. As always, guys, appreciate you watching these Prizepicks videos. Make sure to hit that like button down below if you enjoyed these videos. Hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to the channel, and if you are new to Prizepicks, if you don't have a Prizepicks account, be sure to sign up. Use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code, and place your first $5 lineup. You're going to get $50 in promo funds instantly added to your account. So check out Prizepicks if you have not yet. But good luck tonight, guys. Let's win some money, and I'll see you guys in the next video.